Yo, I'm Bob. Into Star Wars, happen to be totally blind since birth. We have less than a week until Ahsoka premieres on Disney Plus. As of this video's filming, it's August 17th of 2023. And you know what I forgot to do in the year of 2022? I forgot to finish reviewing the Tales of the Jedi anthology of shorts. I forgot to cover Practice Makes Perfect and Resolve. So I'm going to be doing that. There are spoilers ahead for both these two shorts as well as the Ahsoka novel by E.K. Johnston. The audiobook is narrated by Ashley Eckstein herself, by the way. So if you don't want to get spoiled, you better go watch the shorts, read the book, crammity cram. That's all I got to say. Otherwise, be it on your own head. You were warned. Moving on. So I liked Practice Makes Perfect quite a bit. This takes place on Coruscant. We get to see Anakin attempting to keep Ahsoka safe as best he can. He feels responsible for her. This is, of course, well into the Clone Wars. And you got to imagine that Anakin, he has to live with seeing his mom pass away right in front of him every day. So when he comes into the training chamber there, when he sees Ahsoka dealing with those remotes, I think he gets a little ticked off. He thinks the training session is way too easy. And I like how he takes her aside and he's like, you know what, this is too easy. We need to have you training against the 5-0 first. The remotes are too predictable. They're just like battle droids. You need to be around unpredictability. I'm responsible for you, and we have to train you to do better. And that's exactly what the short consists of. It is basically Ahsoka getting knocked out for an hour, waking back up. She's doing a bit better each time, but it's quite a grueling training session for her. But I like that Anakin doesn't go easy on her. And this is Anakin doing his absolute best to make sure that she can fend for herself so he doesn't have to worry about her. I mean, Anakin is, he's a chronic warrior, and this, it doesn't do him any favors later on. And this is when he's still, Anakin. He hasn't gone full-fledged Sith berserko yet. And I like how every time she wakes up, he's like, again. And that's what we see throughout the short. I like how Jesse is one of the first to tag her. And I like how the short dovetails into the skirmish aboard the Tribunal in the last two episodes of the Clone Wars. I love how this short ends. So we do get to see how all that training has paid off. So when it comes to Resolve, there are things I like about the short. There are things that I don't like as much about the short as I do about the book. So the opening scene of Resolve, I love it very much. We get to see Ahsoka showing up to Padme's funeral on Naboo. And we get to see her meeting with Bail. And this is just after the Clone Wars have wrapped up. And of course, Ahsoka is going to be there for Padme. This is a woman that Ahsoka has traveled with. She's been on several missions with Padme. She knew exactly what was going on between Anakin and Padme. Even though Ahsoka was a Jedi, I think she viewed these two as family. And when Bail spies her in the crowd, when he comes up to her later on and she pulls back that cow and he's like, what are you thinking? What are you doing here? I love what Ashley Eckstein puts into the line when she tells Bail she was my friend. She's so heartbroken, and she puts so much into that one line of dialogue there. And we get to see Bail, of course, helping her evade the clone troopers toward the ending of the teaser before the meat of the episode begins. The episode itself, well, if you've read the Ahsoka novel, it gives you the gist of what has happened in the book. I feel like it's kind of a cram session in a way. To me, it feels more like an abridged audiobook from the 90s. You get the sense of what Ahsoka was doing on that planet, trying to hide from the Empire. She's heartbroken. She's just trying to keep to herself. Of course, we have Goofball Brother who figures out who she is when she saves her friend from all of that falling those falling crops there, and she's squealed on, and the Inquisitor shows up there. I think I like the book a bit better because there's quite a lot more to it than that. Before the Inquisitor even shows up, Ahsoka starts having these dreams in the novel about the saber crystals. They're calling out to her. But while she's dreaming, though, we also get to see these great scenes from Ilum. And I think she's remembering when she obtained her saber crystals, each of her saber crystals, because she was there more than once in the early days of her training there. So we get that going on in the book. I like how in the book, though, we get to see a bit of Obi-Wan. He's in the book. He's in it briefly. He's going through his post-Clone Wars PTSD. He's alone. We get to see him. We get to see Leia and Bail interacting a bit in the book as well, which I liked. So the confrontation at the end of the short with the Inquisitor, it's a bit different in the book than it is in the short. In the short, Ahsoka, she kind of does the same thing. She doesn't really use a lightsaber on him until she decides to decapitate him. She kind of lets him swing the thing around, spin it and whatever, and then she turns it off, she grabs a blade and decapitates him. But I like how she handles it in the book. She's even more of a powerhouse in the book because she doesn't even grab a lightsaber to finish this guy. She touches the hilts, and she starts to purify the crystals because the Inquisitors, of course, they've made the crystals bleed. They turn them red. They corrupt the crystals. And Ahsoka purifying the crystals in the book, well, I like how the Inquisitor dies better in the book. His saber explodes, his face is a burned mess, according to E.K. Johnston, and he just falls over. Ahsoka doesn't even need to grab a lightsaber and cut this guy down. She's just like, nah, we're not doing that. And she just takes him out, just like that. And then we actually get to see her creating her white lightsabers in the book. I would have loved to have seen them add that into the short there at the end of Resolve. I think Ahsoka activating those white lightsabers in the book is such an amazing scene. It's a very powerful scene. And she's using them against stormtroopers as everyone makes their escape from Raeda, I believe the planet is. And at the end of the book, we get to see Ahsoka and Bail, and they're talking about her coming back into the fight, just like they do in the short. But in the book, she decides to call herself Fulcrum as well. So we get to see her creating her white lightsabers as well as taking on her new name. And she's actually, this is where she starts to head up Bail's intelligence organizations. And I like that. I didn't hate the short by any means. I just felt like it was, well, exactly that, too short. Like I said, it felt like an abridged audiobook. There's so much that was left on the cutting room floor. It just feels way too short for a Star Wars story for me. I wanted more, and I liked it all right, but I think the book for me, it did a lot more. I love the voice work in the short. I like the music. I will say I did like that little action scene at the end. That's a different way that she did take out the Inquisitor. So, I mean, that was all right. But I do believe I prefer the book over the short. I guess that'll do for this video. As a whole, I absolutely loved Tales of the Jedi. I'm thrilled that Dave Filoni is working on more. I wish he would get around to doing something called Dark Lords of the Sith, and it would take take a lot of shorts and show us things from the perspective of a couple of Sith Lords, I would be on board for that. That would make a great October release. All kinds of dark side stuff going on. But I think the anthology itself, I give it a 10. I liked it pretty well. So that'll do, and I'll hear you guys next time. May the Force be with you. Addendum. So I loved the voice work in these shorts. Liked hearing Dee Baker, of course, Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor back as as Anakin and Obi-Wan. I liked Phil LaMarr as Bail. Sorry, I'm fighting a bit of a cold throat, something or other. So yeah, I liked the Clone Wars alumni coming back in all of these shorts. All right, leaving for real this time.